In every human heart, there is a longing to belong, a desire to be loved even when we fall short. Some stories are so powerful that they cross generations, cultures, and time itself. Today's story is one of loss and return, of rebellion and forgiveness, of a love that never gives up. This is not just a story about a son who walked away from home. It is a story about a father whose love was greater than failure. A story about mistakes, second chances, and grace that meets us at our lowest point. As you listen, you may find yourself in the footsteps of the wandering son, or standing quietly in the place of the faithful one. Or perhaps, for the first time, seeing the heart of a father who never stopped watching the road. This is the story of the prodigal son. There was once a man who had 2 sons. He was a landowner, a father of patience and quiet strength, living with his family in a peaceful countryside. His fields were wide, his home was full, and his heart was devoted to his children. The younger son, however, felt restless. Each morning he woke with a hunger for something more freedom, more excitement, more life beyond the boundaries of his father's land. The steady rhythm of home felt confining to him, and the wisdom of his father sounded old and distant. One day, the younger son gathered his courage and approached his father. "Father," he said, "give me my share of the inheritance that will one day belong to me." The words hung heavy in the air. To ask for an inheritance while the father was still alive was like saying, "I want your possessions, but I do not want you." It was a request that carried deep pain. Yet the father did not shout. He did not refuse. He looked at his son with sorrowful eyes, and then he divided his property between the 2 sons. Not long after that, the younger son packed everything he had. He left his home, his family, and the safety he had always known. He traveled to a distant country where no one knew his name, and no one expected anything from him. At first, life felt like a dream. Money flowed easily. Laughter filled his days and nights. He spent freely. On pleasures, on parties, on people who called him a friend as long as he paid the price. The freedom he had craved tasted sweet, and he believed he had finally found life on his own terms. But wealth does not last forever. Slowly, his money ran out. And just as it did, a severe famine swept across the land. Food became scarce. Jobs disappeared. The friends who once surrounded him vanished without a word. Alone and desperate, the young man searched for work. Finally, someone hired him to feed pigs. For a Jewish man, this was the lowest possible job: unclean animals, filthy conditions, and endless hunger. He watched the pigs eat and felt envy, wishing he could fill his stomach with the same food. No one gave him anything. Broken and starving, the young man finally came to his senses. He remembered home. He remembered his father's servants, who always had enough to eat. And he said to himself, "How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough food, and here I am, dying of hunger?" In the quiet of that moment, his pride shattered. "I will go back to my father," he decided. "I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.'" With shame in his heart and fear in his steps, he began the long journey home. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him. Day after day, the father had been watching the road, hoping. And when he saw a thin, broken figure walking toward the house, he recognized him instantly. The father did not wait. He ran. Ignoring dignity, ignoring age, ignoring the past, he ran to his son. He embraced him tightly and kissed him again and again. The son tried to speak, his rehearsed confession trembling on his lips. "Father," he said, "I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father did not let him finish. He turned to his servants and shouted with joy, "Quick! Bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let us celebrate. This son of mine was dead," the father declared, "and is alive again. He was lost, and now he is found. Music filled the house. Laughter echoed through the courtyard. The family celebrated with feasting and joy, because love had triumphed over failure. But not everyone was celebrating. The older son had been working in the fields. When he returned and heard music and dancing, he asked a servant what was happening. When he learned that his younger brother had returned and that his father had thrown a celebration, anger burned in his heart. He refused to enter the house. The father, once again, went out, this time to the older son. But the older son spoke with bitterness. "All these years I have served you. I never disobeyed you, yet you never gave me even a small celebration with my friends. But when this son of yours returns after wasting everything, you celebrate him." The father looked at him with the same love he had always shown. "My son," he said gently, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate. Your brother was dead and is alive again. He was lost and now is found." And the story ends with an open question. Will the older son join the celebration? Will he accept grace, just as his brother did? The story of the prodigal son is the story of all of us. It is about wandering hearts and open arms. About failure, forgiveness, and a love that runs toward us even when we feel unworthy. No matter how far we go, the road home is always open. And the Father is always watching, waiting, and ready to run. And so the story lingers, long after the celebration fades. It leaves us with a quiet question: where do we see ourselves? Some of us have wandered far, chasing freedom, only to find emptiness. Some of us have stayed close, yet struggled with resentment and pride. But all of us stand before the same truth: the door is still open. The story of the prodigal son reminds us that no failure is final. No distance is too great. And no heart is beyond redemption. Love waits. Grace runs. And home is never as far away as we fear. Thank you for listening. Before you go, take a moment to let this story settle in your heart. Stories like this are more than words. They are reminders of hope, forgiveness, and the power of love to change lives. If this message spoke to you, consider sharing it with someone who may need encouragement today. A single story can be the light someone else has been waiting for. And if you want to hear more stories that inspire faith, reflection, and purpose, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you become part of a growing community that believes in meaningful stories and timeless truths. Your support, through likes, shares, and comments, helps this message reach hearts across the world. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for walking this journey with us. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay kind, and remember, no matter where life takes you, there is always a way back home.